This is the house of play. This is the house of joy.
It's going to be an experience.
Most imaginative placement.
What gives them that?
It's so deep. It's so profound. It's so private. Pansexual, all the other sexuals. Hello, everybody. I'm here with the amazing Connie Jo, and today we are going to be talking all about the fifth house. Hi, Connie.
Hi, let's go to Disneyland today.
Woohoo! It is a party in the house. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Connie and I got all dressed up for this. What do you got on?
Okay, I have on my Hard Rock Casino shirt.
And
Yeah.
I have my, you cannot even read it sadly, my Norican Poetry Slam Cafe.
I love it.
With a little extra. Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a big shout out. Let me see. The Norican Poetry Cafe. This was the best poetry slam in New York City in the East Village I have ever been to. They are amazing. It's like a step into a whole nother world. It is so creative. And so it's so funny. Connie and I did not plan our t-shirts.
No.
We did not plan, but we are coordinated.
Most deaf. And I have on my family necklace with my kids and my grandkids. So I'm all about the fifth house today.
And tell us, Connie Jo, why did you wear the Hard Rock Cafe t-shirt?
I like to gamble.
Because she's a gambling fool.
I am. I mean, I do. I like to gamble.
So
My husband's favorite words are cash out. Cash out now.
So the fifth house is our creative persuasion. So I want you guys to get your gorgeous natal charts. Hopefully you bought one from my shop. If not, you can go to shopsoulnavigation.com and buy a gorgeous natal chart for everybody in your family and get all your loved ones' natal charts out so you can understand your people's and your own creative persuasion is what I like to call this. Yeah. And I want to talk a tiny bit about the meaning of the fifth house, and then we're going to talk about all 12 signs through the fifth house. We're not going to go into the planets specifically, but we will address the planets a little bit by rulership. So stick with this through the whole entire video because you are going to learn so much about how your fifth house operates. Yeah, Connie, I see this as having, we know the basics of this house where this is your children. I also see this is how you will sometimes parent your children or your relationship to your children. And we know this is the house of joy. This is the house of play. This is the house of your own inner child's expression. This is the house that is considered good luck and favorable, right?
Yes.
Do you want to add a few things? And then I had a couple other little thoughts about this house.
Okay. Well, my thought is, I like to layer the houses one upon the other. So if you look at the fourth house, and that's our family, our home, and our ancestry, when we move to the fifth house, it's almost like we move away from home. We become an individual. It's the individual house, the house where we're free to be creative, to make creations of our own. And so we are free to fly solo somewhat, to be in the spotlight instead of one of the family. Of course, you're always going to be part of your family, but do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, that brings up an awesome point, something that I wanted to talk about, and that is the fifth house comes, like Connie said, after the fourth house, but after the house on the angle. And the houses on the angles are so valuable and powerful. So the fourth house in some ways is more powerful than the fifth house, even though the fourth house is the moon's house and the fifth house is the sun's house, because Cancer is the natural ruler of the fourth house and Leo is ruled by the sun, and Leo is the ruler of the fifth, just as a reminder for those. I think that this is the house that is the most joyful and the most lucky and the most favorable of all the houses. So this is where you'll find your luck, your joy, your favorability. And I think it's because it's in trine to the ascendant.
Absolutely. And I can hear people saying that I don't have planets there. It doesn't matter. It really does. I don't either, but I have a fifth house cusp. So you look for the ruler of that fifth house cusp. And trust me, if you don't have planets there, you're still working with your fifth house.
Absolutely. Do not shut this video off because you don't have any planets in the fifth house. That is
Yeah.
so funny because we're going to show you the planet that is the boss of your fifth house. And you do have a planet that is the boss of your fifth
Yes.
house, even if you don't have any planets in the fifth house. I know that sounds like a conundrum, like an anomaly, but it is really, really true. The fifth house is in trine to the ascendant. And
Yeah.
so, with the ascendant being like who you are in the world and your approach and the way in which you go out into the world and bring back to your soul what it craves, what I find between the fifth house and the ascendant is the ascendant can easily do the work.
I just want to give a little shout out for all my members, my super supporters, and my superstar super supporters. Thank you for joining this channel. And with your membership, you will get to see this video in its entirety. On Wednesdays, I always load my members only content. And I just wanted to say thank you all for being here. So if you're not a member, I hope you're getting enough out of this video. But if you are a member, be sure to come back on Wednesday so you can see all the juicy bits.
Connie, do you want to start with Aries?
I absolutely do. Okay, so Aries is ruled by Mars. Take notice of where Mars is in your chart because that will come into play in how your fifth house Aries cusp plays out. These people are passionate, intense, competitive. This is the house of romance too. You've got to think this is where the romance starts. It might end up in the seventh house, but it starts in the fifth. These people are very passionate and can even be a bit aggressive with their partners that they're interested in. They love sports. They like games. I will say, in all honesty, that Aries on the fifth house cusp wants to win. They are competitive and they will do everything it takes to be the winner. They like to gamble. Now, when it comes to children, they can be a bit pushy, pushing their children to do sports or competitive things that they want them to do. But at the same time, these are the people that will stand up for their child. Oh my God, do not do anything wrong to an Aries cusp, fifth house cusp child, because the mother or father will come at you like a bear and will not let go, or like a ram, Aries, however you want to put it. But they're very protective of their children, even though they can be a bit impatient with their children. What do you think about that, Meredith?
Oh, absolutely. And this is oftentimes Sagittarius rising, right? Yeah, because it has a trine. And Sag and Aries really get along. So I think also they love fun and games and they love big stadiums and they like to cheer on, their team, root for their team. They
Absolutely.
love competition.
I think that they need to be physically challenged sometimes. They need that physical activity. And this is also a placement that will start a lot of projects. Now, I didn't say they would finish a lot of projects. I said they would start a lot of projects because there's a lot of creativity, and Aries loves to begin things. They love to start things and put that creativity to use. But this is also in romance, the placement that might make the first move, sexually. They may make it a game. I can say this, they like the chase. So if you know someone that has Aries on the fifth house cusp and you're interested, don't act too interested because they'll leave. They want to chase. They want a game.
They also have a giant sense of it.
Don't forget, if you are a member, a super supporter, or a superstar super supporter, it's my way of saying thank you by letting you watch this video in its entirety. And if you are not a member, I hope that you're still getting a lot out of this video. But don't forget to come back, members, on Wednesdays when I do load your very special content. And thank you so much for being here with me. I so appreciate it. And I hope that you love getting to see all the behind the scenes juicy bits. And I sometimes save the best for you.
Okay, let's talk about Taurus in the fifth house. So wherever Venus is at in your chart, Venus is going to rule your fifth house. So if you have Taurus in the fifth house, but you don't have any planets, Venus in whatever sign and whatever house is the ruler. And so I like to think about this as a very Venetian creative expression. And I find so much creativity when you have Taurus in the fifth house. There is a resonance with beauty. So they usually like, and there's also a material emphasis. I think they can monetize their creativity. They can really build creativity. And I think they've got the energy to invest in their own creativity for the long haul, for the long term. There's a devotion.
Well, yeah, I mean, Taurus is a fixed sign and it's in a fixed house. So I think whatever they start, they finish, they stick with it.
This is going to be Capricorn rising. I will say that these people are, I think they might not be aware of just how creative they are because they can oftentimes follow just the rules. But there is a deep well of natural creativity and also maybe taking expressions of nature and beauty and color and all of the senses and putting them together. So I think of a brilliant makeup artist who wants to monetize her artistry.
You know what I think of? I think of someone that does farm to table chef. Like they grow their own herbs and everything, and then they take it and they make something creative and beautiful out of it.
Yes, absolutely. We just got this farm to table restaurant in town and we've eaten there 3 times. And I think that is brilliant, Connie. That's exactly what this is. And this also could be the esthetician. This could be the cosmetologist. But you are so right. So that nature, that nature feel. This could also be like a nature trail guide or something. I think that this combination can truly monetize their creativity if they are willing to stand in it. But sometimes they find their creativity a little bit late or it's downplayed. Remember, this is sort of the self-expression of your inner child coming to play too. I think there's a gentleness here. And I think that these people can underestimate. They might not even call themselves creative, but they are massively, massively creative. And let's talk about lovers, because this is sensuality to an art form, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I think they like to, if they've got the security piece, if they've got their bank account, stabilized, I think there's a generosity here where they really like to give quality presents to their lovers. Now, the fifth house is sex. It is a sexy house. It is sex. And it's
absolutely
a romp, right? But it's not necessarily long-term committed sexual relationship. And it's not necessarily the lifelong commitment, but it is sexual pleasures, fun, and their approach to sex and romance and dating. I kind of see this as dating. Do you see that?
Well, I think where Aries is like passionate, dives right in, the Taurus fifth house has they just show their natural sensuality and let that rocket the way it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I also think these people have. Well, let's take on Gemini.
This is the intellectual placement. It's ruled by Mercury. So look for Mercury in your chart. What house is it in? What sign is it in? But they bring creativity to this with this fifth house by education, by learning, by flirting. And this can be kind of a flirty social placement a bit. They want their partners, their romantic partners, to be intellectual enough to stimulate them. They're stimulated by the brain, by the mind. It's not like so much you would have to be the most beautiful or handsome person to attract a Gemini on the fifth house cusp. But man, if you've got it in the brain, if you're on the same wavelength as them and you can give them new ideas and everything, you are in like Flynn. And they love games because you have to use your noggin to play the game. So they like anything where you can think and get creative with it. Also, education is very important for their children. So they want their children to use their intellectual prowess to the highest level. So where the Aries fifth house cusp might push for sports, the Gemini fifth house cusp might push for get all the education you can. Education for them, learning more about other people, that creative, being able to make crossword puzzles. All right, this is the person that might create, those quizzes, they might create quizzes. And you know what I'm saying? They're just good at anything like that, but that's what they're attracted to, the mind. And remember, Gemini is the twins, a dual sign. So 1 minute they might be over here figuring out the way to make a new crossword puzzle, and then over here they're doing something completely different that's creative. I think this is a sign that can have a lot of projects going on at one time.
Absolutely. And isn't this Aquarius rising where there
It
is
is.
exaltation? And it's not always Aquarius rising, but it's most likely going to be Aquarius rising. So if I say that and you don't have that placement, it just means that your house is calculated a little differently. But
Yeah.
no, I think you are so right to emphasize the mind, and Mercury, wherever Mercury is at in the chart, will show you how it plays out. But let's talk about like dating and love. Gemini likes being in this house, right?
Yeah.
It's an air sign in a fire house. I think Gemini and Leo and Sagittarius are like the playful signs of the zodiac. So Gemini is like Peter Pan in the house of joy. This is indulgence.
But you know what, Meredith? I still think that in romance, Gemini wants to be challenged a little bit.
Absolutely.
They're not going to go out with someone or be attracted to someone that cannot hold a conversation with them.
Totally. And be witty and be funny and be charming.
Yeah.
Not be too sticky, icky. Yeah. They don't like a lot of sweat. This is double air,
Yes.
air rising, air in the house of like sex and, romper room sex and romp around sex. I oftentimes also see a lot of open-minded sex. So it could be bisexuality. It could be, I don't even know all the words. What are all the words about all the different?
Sexting. Sexting.
Oh. That's another word. I wasn't thinking that, but that's awesome. Yeah, they are the great sex.
Because that's what turns them on. Let's talk about sex. Let's have a little texting conversation about sex.
And in sexting, you don't have to get sweaty. It's all air because it's in between here, right?
Yes, but that's the turn on though.
And I also think this is very polyamorous. This can be bisexuality. This can be pansexual. This can be all the other sexuals. Can you tell me in the comments what all the other sexuals are? Because I don't know them all and I really want to learn. But this is the most open-minded lover. Also, there's a little bit of kink that goes with this one, I think, like experimental lovers. And hey, did you meet my friend Betty? I really want you to meet Betty. What's he really saying? Or what's she really saying?
I know what she's really saying.
A sense of humor with this placement.
Yeah.
Right? People are funny.
But I think they relate easily to children.
You're a big kid, Peter Pan.
Yeah. I love this placement. I love Gemini. I think that it's probably like you just said, the least judgmental sign in the zodiac. And they're very open to everything.
And in the fifth house, I think they make fast friends. They're super charming. They probably can count cards at the poker table. I'm not joking. They'll beat you in gym money every time. They'll make bets on the game and win because they bet on something, I don't know, smart. Like they're very, very smart. And I also think they grow the minds of their. Anyways, let's go on to Cancer. So Cancer in the fifth house is like creativity, like the Hallmark Channel. But somebody
Okay.
Somebody is
I wasn't expecting that.
This is going to be really sentimental. So with Cancer in the fifth house, I have two extraordinary personal examples in my life, and that's my mother and my brothers. This is Pisces rising. And this is what is so, so important about Cancer in the fifth house. So I was kind of glad that I got the earth and water signs, Connie, because I had a lot of personal experiences to draw on from these placements. Connie's doing the fire in the air, but we're sharing. With Cancer here, it's so interesting. This is what you have to know. I'm going to boil it down to one little baby potato for you. And this is the golden nugget. And that is you absolutely have to understand your moon in order to understand your life force creative expression. So how you're going to do the stage, how you are going, what movies are you going to watch? The fifth house shows you what kind of movies and books you're going to watch, what kind of music you're going to listen to, what kind of sports are you going to be involved with or like or enjoy, what kind of games you're going to play, what kind of lover you're going to be. So you got to go look to the moon. And this is what is so interesting. My brother and my mother are both fifth house Cancers, but my mother has a Taurus moon and my brother has a Libra moon, which by the way are both Venus moons.
Yeah.
Right. So it was fascinating for me to think about this, Connie. I was so fascinated. So let me just tell you this one thing that I thought about. They both love more than anything with Cancer in the fifth house, their children entertaining in their own homes. That's their favorite thing to do, both of them. But my brother wants to sit around and connect with people, Libra moon, and he wants to debate and chat and strategize and analyze and talk about life and you and him and put ideas and concepts on the table. And my mom wants to create harmony with food, with a great couch, with music, with conversation, and with creature comforts and making you feel comfortable. Now she's an intellect too, so she likes conversation, and they love doing that with family. And they do that more with family than just with friends or associates. So I thought it was so interesting. So you guys have to know how the ruling planet of this house really does color how you're going to express it and also how you're going to interact with your kids. And I will say, my brother does interact with his children like a Libra. He'll negotiate, he'll strategize, he'll roll out, a plan, a strategic plan. He'll be a diplomat. He'll evaluate both sides of the situation. Okay, who here ate the ice cream for real? He sits all three. They all lie. They all say they didn't do it. He knows one of his three kids did it. They're not leaving. He's the judge and the jury and the lawyer and the prosecuting attorney. And they're not leaving until they figure out who ate the ice cream. This is so Libra moon with Cancer in the fifth, right? They all say the dog did. They all blame it on Bear. The dog didn't. My brother found out 5 years later that it really wasn't the one son. It was the other son in a confession.
Oh my God.
But it was not the daughter. No. Anyways, that is the Libra moon with the children with the Cancer in the fifth, right? It's so funny.
Okay, I want to add to that.
Yeah, I gave you a lot to think about.
Although my husband is an Aquarius rising, he does have a fifth house Cancer cusp. He has some intercepted houses, and he has his moon in the fifth house in Cancer, and there is not a more sentimental person on earth than he is about children. Not just his children, all children. He is so sentimental. Oh my God, we forgot to get a birthday present for blah, blah, blah. We need to go now. There is there's like this attachment and sentiment he has toward kids. It's really special. Each of the moons react in different ways.
Totally. And I love that because they are so sentimental. As I said, this is the Hallmark channel, and like somebody love and then fall out of love and then break up and then get together and then end on a happy note.
Yes.
Let's talk about, and I do think these people are very nurturing and very supportive of their children. And I think they're really deep in the game. I don't think they take their eye off the ball here. And there's a sensitivity with these people. Like I don't know if your husband can really get his feelings hurt and not show it, because they oftentimes do not show their wounds to their children because they have the crab. Right? They have the crab shell, but they are hurt inside, but they don't reveal it.
I think I can tell when he's hurt, but yeah, he doesn't show it outright. Yeah, you're right.
They hide their feelings, and oftentimes they even hide their upsets. But I wanted to say one thing about their creativity and their creativity. Okay, you want to do Leo in the fifth?
Well,
Woo!
no, and that is where Leo loves to be in the fifth house. We could just say, this is the actor, this is the actress, this is the person on stage, this is the individual, this is the person that's prideful, this is the person that is so romantic. It's insane. They want romance. They want that perfect romance. They dream about the perfect romance but they love their children, loyal to their children, but they want their children to be on stage a bit too. I think this placement, Meredith, when they were growing up, they were somewhat or usually the center of attention, or that's where in a perfect world they would be. So, they want that attention. They want to do things in the world that brings the spotlight to them. Because unlike the moon, which is a reflection of the sun, we're talking about the sun here. Where is your sun? Is your sun in Leo? You have to look for your sun placement to see how this might play out in your fifth house. But they want the romance, but they're smart. These people are smart. Don't think that they can't just because that they might have big, glorious hair or be in the spotlight, that they're not very on an intellectual level. They're smart with their money. I think they're lucky too. I think this is a lucky, lucky placement to have.
Absolutely.
And there's a true love for children.
Yes, I think there's a real true love for children. And I think that it's really important that these people don't lose their inner child. And I think their inner child can be easy to find, but you have to figure out where your sun is. And if your sun is a little bit buried, like let's say you have the sun in the eighth house, or you have the sun in the 12th house, or the sun in the fourth house, even, you might not be able to relate to all the razzle dazzle that we talk about, right, Connie?
Yeah.
Can be a contradiction here.
I agree with that and I think that's the reason that they can be happy whether they're in the spotlight or not, as long as their creativity can roam wherever it wants to, that they can use whatever they want to do. What creative baby do you want to birth kind of thing? What is it? Where is your sun shining? What is it? Our sun is our ego. What is it your ego truly desires to do in this life? And I think they do that. I will say this, though, Meredith, that I think this is a placement that can be a little stubborn or a little stuck because you have a fixed sign in a fixed house. And I think they can be with children. So they love their kids, but I think they probably have a very rigid routine at home.
I also think they can kind of rule with an iron fist because this is Aries, Leo in the fifth house of children. So it kind of is my way or the highway. I also think that their children do not want to disappoint them. Let's talk a little bit about Virgo in the fifth house, because I think that sometimes confuses people. Also, if you guys want to put your own placements in the comments, and if you are a member, a super supporter or a superstar super supporter, we try to answer all the comments, but we really put in extra effort for our members. So thank you for being here and consider joining the channel. It just lets us thrive and stay alive here and do more content like this. And we're so grateful. But Virgo in the fifth house, I think this is highly intelligent also. Mm-hmm. But what Virgo is so good at is discernment. And so with Virgo here, you're probably a Taurus rising. Also, I want to say that you have the critic's eye. So I could see this as a Broadway theater critic or a food critic or a movie critic, the Sundance Film Festival critic, or Virgo is very informed. And I think that this is actually quite a beautiful placement because there's a humility and a humbleness here. But I also think this could be the extraordinary, I have this girlfriend in my life who has this placement, the most extraordinary party planner, like thinks of every detail, like has a knife for every dip, every cheese, has the kind of spoon that you put in the jelly to put on the cracker with the cheese, with the salami, with, has all, right? Even has fancy toothpicks. I mean, because it's Taurus rising most likely. And then that Virgo event planning and can architect as in engineer or architect parties, events, fun, games, the social director, the camp director. Do you remember on the Love Boat? This is for people born in the 60s. The Love Boat, you know, she was like this camp director where she planned all the activities. She planned the fun for people. And I don't know why, but my girlfriend Cindy, who has this placement, she loves planning the fun for other people. I want to be in the fun. I don't want to plan the fun. I want to be in the fun.
Me too.
Right? I think Virgos in the fifth house are always thinking about results. Like, what are we going to get out of this? How is this useful? Yeah. Is this meaningful? How does this add to the bottom line? How does this little piece, create the whole? Like, I don't know if you know this about me, Connie Jo. So I'm going to tell the world, and I don't have this placement, but I think this would be a great placement. So I'm an elite Yelper, and it's a hobby. By the way, the fifth house is your hobbies. It's just your little hobby. Yes. So I got my elite badge, and they said because I was a really funny writer, so they wanted to make me an elite Yelper. So that just means you get this extra little badge on. So I write critiques about all the places that I visit. And so like the Virgo, I'm not this is not my placement, but I think Virgo here would be so good at being it's like secret shopping, and
that's what I was going to say. They would be amazing personal shoppers. Okay.
Yeah, personal shopper, but the Yelp reviewer, elite Yelp reviewer, is like the secret shopper. So I'm evaluating you on how you pour my drink and you don't know it. And it's like, I would have given you a 5-star, but I gave you a 4.32 because the music was a little loud, Now, I don't do that, but I'm just saying Virgo would be so precise in its creative expression and its evaluation. But I want to say, I think that this is the sign that is the most creatively resourceful out of the entire zodiac. These are the people that have the most resources for creative expression. And what I mean by that, yes, maybe money, but I just mean the best pencils, the best paints. If it's music, they've got all the equipment. If it's, I don't know, arts and crafts, they've got every item. If we're decorating, I don't know, sugar cookies, you want to go to the house of Virgo's house because they're going to have every kind of sprinkle for your cookie.
Yeah.
That might be in bed too.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Meredith. So what about love here? Because you know that I think that Virgo.
Okay, we got to move on to Libra, Connie.
The word I have for Libra here is classy.
Ooh.
They're ruled by Venus. So again, find your Venus sign. But there's something very harmonious, fair, classy, cultured about this placement. Now, are they flirtatious? Oh, you better believe it. They're an air sign, but they're also very particular about who they're going to take home and have sex with, too. They're not going to be romantic with just anybody. Yes, they might flirt with you because I wouldn't say they're people pleasers, but they're charming. They find it hard to be rude or not nice to anyone. So, they're going to be that person that everybody wants to be romantic with, but I think they're very picky in the end, kind of like Virgo, but on a different level, because I think you have to have a certain amount of flair, charm, and be cultured yourself to attract one of these people. This is Gemini rising, by the way. So, we're looking at air sign with an air sign. The rising sign is probably an air sign, and then Libra is an air sign, but it's not that intellectual level as much because it's ruled by Venus, but they do want someone that's cultured. I think their children are probably very, very polite, that they teach them to be polite. But let me tell you, when it comes to dancing or music, this is the placement I think about. The person that has the partner. I think that this placement does well with a partner or does well with groups of people, because we're not talking about Leo. They kind of want to be in the spotlight by themselves. Libra might prefer to have a partner in their creative endeavors, but I think they're very musical. Libra rules harmony. This is harmonious. Also, I think that with their children,
Okay, members, did you hear that I am going to be doing live readings using your charts and sharing my screen with you? And I will be selecting from my members. Of course, I can't read everybody's chart, but I'm going to be doing this once a month. So put the little notification bell on so you don't miss my lives coming up where I'm going to share my screen. And I will be choosing at random my members and my superstar super supporters and my super supporters as a way to say thank you for becoming a member. I cannot wait to deliver this perk to you, and I hope that you might get selected.
Let's move on to Scorpio. You know, Scorpio is really, really interesting because this is most likely Cancer rising. This is so private. This is so behind the scenes creativity. And I also think this is really interesting because Scorpio, this is the house of the sun. And so if you think about the sun, it lights up. You know, this is the house of the lights, camera, action. But Scorpio is about the dark. So this is where the dark is brought into the light creatively. And so I see transformative art here, performance art. I saw this really incredible performance art. This absolutely gorgeous woman was sitting in a chair all day at the museum, and she was gorgeous, and she was in this giant red gown. And the performance art was, come and sit in the chair in front of me. And you saw 1,000 different people. Then they put it on high speed, you know, on the high speed camera. And you saw the different people interacting with this woman who was just statuesque. She was a real woman. She didn't move. She gave no expression. And it transformed your experience, seeing a small child sit in front of the beautiful woman, a man sit in front of the beautiful woman, a grandfather sit in front of the, I mean, I have chills just saying it. Like performance art and the transformation that can occur from it. That is very Scorpio in the fifth. But there is an intensity, and this is also ruled by wherever your Mars is, but your Pluto too. So there's a there's a psychological element to this creativity. Like it almost wants to psychologically. I think this level of creativity, and it's also so private. It's so deep. It's so profound. It's so private. It's so moving. It can transfix you that it can literally psychologically impact you and the artist too, like very deep.
I think this is a placement that could take their creativity, in whatever art form it is, into the taboo that other people don't want to look at, but they can't. It's like a train wreck. They can't stop looking at it, kind of thing.
Like if it has X-rated or R-rated, this is what they want to watch. They want to watch the things that are hidden and taboo, like you said. I think this is a really sexy placement. It is a lot of sexuality out, but it is also very private with that Cancer rising. So it could be not flamboyant, but like intense. I think this is also a place where you get really creative tattoos, piercings, maybe hair color, maybe.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't think about that, Meredith. That's good. I think you're right.
I think that these people also could be phenomenal.
Okay, Sagittarius. All right, adventure, travel. Fifth house Sagittarius, they want to do things big, and they want to make sure it's adventurous. They want to do things different. And let me tell you, there is a philosophy, a higher learning to this placement. Look for your Jupiter. Where is Jupiter in your chart? Because when they do something, it's almost like they want to do it big, but they look to that higher place, that expand. How can they expand? How can they be more optimistic? They love the spiritual. They love to help people, but they do this all at this very adventurous level, and they want their children to experience all of this as well. Like their creative endeavors are big. They don't. It's like they can't do anything small. When they do something creative, they want it to be big. They want it to be adventurous. They want it to last. They take it very seriously, whatever it is they create. Don't you think so, Meredith?
Yeah, I think there's a loud boom with this one, with Sag here. And what's funny is they have Leo rising. So this is a mutual reception with Sag fifth and most likely Leo rising. It's an infinity. And so your rising sign goes really, really easily inside this mutual reception. I think these people probably absolutely love anything about fun for them, fun and games, rollicking fun is probably exploring cultures,
Yes.
food, any kind of music or dance or culture, traveling, traveling around the world with a backpack and sort of being a gypsy and offloading all of the rules and responsibilities. Kind of being a vagabond would be a blast.
Yeah. And they're romantic, but on the other hand, they kind of want freedom. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want romance. And I think that people are very attracted to this placement. Also, Meredith, I think this would be a great placement for the equestrian.
Oh yeah. Also, I think they love romance, but they would like a partner in every port. Like, let's try on what a French partner would be like and an African partner would be like and a
Because they want to try it on. I love it. And I think, don't they get bored easily? I think probably that this is a placement that would get bored easily. And so when they find the right one, finally they move on to the seventh house. But they might have a lot of romantic partners, like Mare said, one in every port. I think this is also a placement that they want their kids to have.
But let's talk about Capricorn in the fifth, because this is really interesting. Just like how I was talking about Scorpio bringing the dark to the house of light, Capricorn brings responsibility to the house of fun. And so it's like, how does that kind of work? I think it is
Isn't that Virgo rising usually?
Yeah, that is Virgo.
Okay.
And so we have double responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also think there can be a strictness with themselves, not allowing their own creative self-expression to be explored, to be seen to the degree that they desire. I think they can shut it down, stifle it, and be too afraid to try out for the school play in case they don't get the part. I think they can be afraid to openly try their hand at something. Like, for example, that paint and sip concept where you go with your partner and you do it together and you sip wine. I think these people could be nervous doing something like that because you're on the spot. You've never done it before. It's kind of scary. Pick it up. What if I suck? And there's a doubt because
it's ruled by Saturn. So yeah.
So Saturn can have a tendency to shut this down, where Connie was talking about Sagittarius, and that was Jupiter ruling this house, which doesn't shut anything down, which can be a problem with gluttony. Too many margaritas, too many lovers, too much fun. This can be not taking enough chances, not expressing them, not standing in their true creative massiveness and potential. But once they do, they can monetize it better than anybody else. I mean, either Capricorn here or Taurus here, those are the monetizers of the zodiac. They can monetize their creativity, but I do find that they want their creativity to kind of be realistic, like bringing reality to an art form. Like, how are we going to make this real? I want this documentary or this play or this book. I want this to really be historical fiction or the truth about, the biography. These people probably love biographies. They want historical truths.
Documentaries, biographies, all of it. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Like, what was the truth about Marilyn Monroe and how she died? I know that might fall into Scorpio too, but it's like they want to understand reality and the truth and figure out how to monetize it. I hate to say this, but they almost feel like their art or their creation, if it's not monetized, is it even worth it? Like, did it even mean anything? And you guys tell me if you agree with that. And if you don't, that's fine too. Just put a note in the comments, because I love hearing your stories and your examples with your own placements really help. You have to realize we're only talking about one thing and there's about 40,000 different things to look at in a chart. You really got to go see how Saturn's playing out. Maybe Saturn's in flamboyant Sagittarius, in, I don't know, the first house. And so it might operate a little bit differently based on Saturn. But I want you to think about this other thing. I think these people absolutely love and adore and
rebellious, Aquarius on the fifth house, innovative. Oh my God. So these are the people that come up with ideas and create creations that nobody else thinks about, that are so out there sometimes that the rest of the world catches up with them maybe 10 years later in their creative endeavors. They're contemporary. It's an intellectual sign. It's an air sign, but yet ruled by Uranus. Look for Uranus and somewhat Saturn, the secondary ruler, but they think out of the box. And so their creative ideas tend to be different. Like I said, a little rebellious. And when they're looking for a romantic partner, it's kind of the same thing. They don't want somebody like everybody else has. They want something different. Trust me, this is the person that they dress in this dramatic. Okay, I'm thinking Lady Gaga when she wore the meat suit. That's very Aquarius fifth house. Okay.
Oh my God. Or when she arrived in the egg. Oh my God.
They want to try everything new. It's not, I think, that they totally reject the old, but the new is what excites them. It's what gives them that, oh. And they don't want their kids to be like anybody else either. They're not afraid to send their kids to school in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt when everybody else is wearing dresses.
Or name their kid Apple.
No kidding. Or Northwest. Okay. Anyway, they're not afraid to be different because they want to be different. They don't want to be like everybody else. There's like this rebelliousness, but it's
Okay, Pisces. I think Pisces in the fifth house has a very deep faith in love and beauty and goodness in mankind. And I think they are on the quest to find true happiness. I also think these people have been very wounded by all of everything I just said. And I think that they can find their creativity as a healing remedy for their breakups, for their losses around love. And I think they can also really have a hard time figuring out what their creative expression is going to be, because it's going to transform. It's going to be different throughout their life based on who they're involved with. I think this is the most hands down 100%, 1000% most imaginative placement for the whole entire zodiac, having Pisces in the fifth house. This brings the biggest imagination. You got to look for Jupiter and Neptune, see what both of those planets are doing in your chart to see how this is going to express itself. But most likely you are going to be absolutely passionately in love with love. This is so romantic that you might not even be earthbound. And
is this not the musical placement though? The singer, the songwriter, the person, the dancer. Oh my God, when I think of Pisces in the fifth house, I just think the ultimate musician, the one or the person that can write any romantic song. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, Connie. I love that. And I think there's also like an Enya quality with this too. Andre Bocelli. Like they can take you into new places inside your soul, inside your spirit, inside your heart that you can't access yourself. Like
places without boundaries. It takes you to the Neptunian, right? It takes you to the land, spiritual place that Pisces can take you, or that Jupiterian place. I also think this is a placement of someone that has a really big heart, and also they can be quite childlike too, and have this understanding of children because their imagination is so big. It's like they can understand the imagination of a child. And so it's like their own children, possibly, they don't squash that imagination. They actually encourage it to grow and to expand because of Jupiter.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that, Connie. That is so good. I also wanted to say that I think these people with that Jupiter Neptune are really Oh my God, Connie, this was so much fun. I love
fun.
Videos with you. Come and check out the shop, get a reading with Connie Jo. And also, I want to remind you, we have just a couple tickets left to my retreat. If you want to learn with us in person, please come to Seattle in May. I think I have 2 tickets left, and you can find that on my website, or I'll put the link below. But I just absolutely cannot wait until we do our next house. What is it going to be, Connie?
Number 4.
What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. This was a lot of fun. I don't think...
Let's don't do it. Okay, we're only going to do it if y'all ask us to. So put it below if you want us to finish up the rest of the zodiac. Otherwise, we're going to move on to other stuff.
It is the most private house, though, Meredith. That can be interesting.
Should we tell all the secrets?
Maybe. No, not all. Okay.
All right. Well, I'll see you soon, Connie. I just want to say bye from Seattle. Take good care.
Bye from Florida. Love you guys.